Now, on to an interesting round that's come up in the last hour or so, at least become public in the last hour or so in East Africa. Tanzania's Civil Aviation Authority has banned the operation of Kenya Airways flights between Nairobi and Dar es Salaam effective 22nd January. That decision, the CCAA says, was reached after Kenyan aviation authorities declined Tanzania's request for fifth freedom rights. Keep that in mind when they're operating all cargo flight operations by Air Tanzania. So what exactly is all this about? Fifth freedom rights, third freedom rights. What does this mean? Let's bring in Isaac Lucando from Dar es Salaam with more data on this story. So Isaac, under the 2016 bilateral air services agreement between these two countries, there are at least 80 flights, as I understand it, in both directions, Nairobi into Dar, Nairobi into Kilimanjaro and vice versa, on a daily basis. So what alternatives could passengers have from the 22nd of January?
Well, we know that there are a number of other airlines that are operating in the region. Air Tanzania itself, Precision Air, Rwandair, airlines like Ethiopian Airlines are operating in the region. But by far, KQ or Kenyan Airways was so far the biggest transporter in the region, and so definitely there will be some major effects. Obviously, options reduced, and that could probably lead to a hike in prices if that does go through on the 22nd of January. But we just become aware of a tweet by Tanzania's Foreign Minister, General Makamba, who says he has spoken to the Kenyan Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi, that they would like, or they have expressed a view that they maybe be able to talk about this within the next 3 days and maybe come to a resolution.
Indeed, and just to, of course, buttress what you're saying, this is the same tweet from Musalia Mudavadi, saying essentially he did speak to Tanzania's Foreign Affairs Minister, quote, "We will work together to have the matter resolved amicably within the next 3 days. There should be no cause for alarm," he says on Twitter as well. But getting back to CCAA, they essentially claim that, look, Kenya refused to grant them fifth freedom right, right? And that's an important factor here, because that's essentially the right to have, say, Air Tanzania land in Kenya, take on cargo that goes into a third country and deliver it there. But under the terms of this 2016 bilateral air services agreement, is that supposed to be a reciprocal right?
Well, we have seen a document on the TCAA website. It lists about 57 different agreements that Tanzania has with various countries. And it's only about 2 countries that are listed there that have such an agreement with Tanzania. One of those is Madagascar, and the other one is South Sudan. And with South Sudan, I think it's a bit restricted. There are no further details apart from frequency of flights that are listed, especially in the agreement that Kenya has with Tanzania. We're told that the agreements themselves, the memorandum of understanding signed in 2016, are confidential. But by the details that were given there, we don't see the fifth freedom rights being talked about there. At least it's not listed there. So maybe this was just a way to get the 2 parties talking on the table, because this is not the first time it has happened. It happened again in 2020. Of course, the context was different. It was COVID-19 restrictions that caused KQ to get its flights banned from coming into Tanzania. So these squabbles, we've seen them before, and perhaps as the two leaders have said, that maybe they'll get back onto the table and iron things out.
Indeed, and hopefully they do make that 2016 bilateral air services agreement public at the same time. Isaac Lucando joining us there live from Dar es Salaam.